This interrogation video, we're gonna move on. Now, one of my subscribers said he wants some newer content, some newer cases. So I want y'all to put in the comments. You know what I'm saying? Do y'all want newer cases, or do y'all just want me to cover the things that I think y'all don't know about? You know what I'm saying? Y'all let me know that, man. But we're gonna get back into this interrogation. We're gonna finish it out today, man.
Oh, yeah. The live TV helped. Rizzo doesn't like, or maybe does like New Girl, the TV show, so we watched that. It's the theme song that gets her, I think. She barks. So we watched that. Izzy fell asleep, so Izzy's the old dog, the older one. So it's Sunday. And Sunday evening, Kat comes by to help me with the girls.
So she wasn't there during the day?
No, it was just me and the dogs. She left Sunday morning. Okay. No, she left Saturday morning because I spent Saturday by myself.
I see that.
And then Sunday, it was just me and the girls till whenever Kat got there. We didn't eat together, I don't think. No.
Bro, think about how sick this man gotta be, though. This man killed and dismembered his parents' bodies and discarded them throughout the town. And he's able to come in here and sit down with these detectives and talk for hours after he did what he did to his parents.
This is Sunday. So I went to Kat's house.
On Sunday?
Yeah. So that was Sunday morning is when I left the girls. So all of Sunday morning, I had the girls in the fort. We watched New Girl. I went to Kat's house Sunday to eat, but we ended up not eating there. We went to Cress's house. It's Cottage Grove or Cascade? No, Cedarburg. It's a sea town area.
Okay. So where is it? Near?
I've never.
Cress.
Cress.
Oh, Cress. So Cress is
You
just
seen her on my phone?
Yeah, I saw the call story. That's your
helps me out with everything.
Kat's
mom's girlfriend.
Okay.
I try to talk to her as much because she's like, I don't know, wise, and she really helps me with what's going on with me. Because I've been in a slump, I'd say.
Okay. But alright. So went to Kat's house Sunday to eat. What time do you think you went over there?
Food at 3:30. That's what they said.
So about 3:30 you went over to Kat's?
Oh, I was at Kat's well before. I was at there noon.
Okay.
Noon, let's say.
Noon. Where does Kat live?
The east side?
East side of Madison?
Yeah.
Okay. You know I'm sure I can look it up, but do you know the road at all or anything?
Trafalgar? Or Andrew Lane? Trafalgar?
Okay. I'll look it up, that's fine. So you met her Sunday about noon. What'd you guys do at her place?
Well, she realized my legs, I wouldn't be able to do stuff with them. So her brother, and her brother's date went to a thrift store while she had me sleep. She just put me to bed and they went. And then they get home around 2:30. Kat and I rush back to my house, let the girls out, and we go back straight to the farm.
Okay, were you at the farm before you went to let the dogs out, or?
No, we were at Kat's, it's like a duplex.
So Kat's house, Sunday around noon, you went to sleep with Kat, her sister?
Her brother,
Kat's brother.
and his date.
and his date. Okay, sorry about that. Went to a thrift store.
Then we went to Cress's and we ate. After that, James left after dinner, leaving his date with us, and we took a swim. After the swim, we left, went to Kat's house to drop off his date. The date stayed at Kat's house. The date is Rose, maybe, is what her name was.
Rose. Had you ever met her before?
No, this was a Tinder match for her brother, Kat's brother.
Okay. What time do you suppose you guys went to Cress's house? So, got to Kat's around noon, went to
2:30
sleep.
we got back.
Okay.
Kat and I went to my house to let the dogs out, then we left. I think we got gas. And then we went to Cress's, so I would say it was maybe 4 when we got there. We were late for dinner. But it was good because they were still setting up.
Where'd you guys get gas at? Do you remember that?
One of the quick trips in town.
Drinking water.
I can't remember. I'm sorry.
When you say in town, are we talking DeForest, Sun Prairie?
DeForest, it had to be.
Okay.
I think we got, I'm still not super sure, but I know we were doing something on the way, or we didn't do something. I thought we were gonna do a return, but I'm jumbling it right now, so just have that. We went to my house and back to Cress's, we were late.
Okay.
For dinner.
What were you guys driving? Were you in your
Kat's red Subaru.
Okay. Was she driving or you?
She drives that. Kat's her car.
Red Subaru, you said?
Yeah, it's at my house right now.
Oh, okay. And you rode with her?
Yes.
Where'd you guys go for a swim?
There's like a little pool up at the Cress's house.
Oh,
She's been helping me with my walking and everything, and they get me there.
Okay. Is it indoor or outdoor?
Outdoor.
It must have been nice with how hot it has been.
Yeah, they got something fancy to heat it from the sun.
Okay.
But that was the 3 of us.
Yeah.
Then we went back to around 6, no, later, maybe 7. We went back to Kat's apartment, dropped off Rose, got Kat's dirty or wet clothes. She had wet clothes because she was going to dry them. And we went to my house together.
So Rose got dropped off at Kat's?
Yeah, the duplex in the east side.
Okay. Was James with you guys at that point, or?
No, James left after dinner around 4:30.
Okay. Was he not getting along with Rose, or?
No, he had work.
Oh, okay. Well, that sucks. Work on the 4th of July.
Something.
So did Rose get dropped off at Kat's duplex then?
Yes. We'll refer to Kat's house as a duplex.
Yep.
Cress is the farm.
Yep.
We grow berries.
Yep.
My house is my house. That's how we'll refer.
Gotcha.
Where are we?
Sunday night about 7.
Sunday night
Rose
about
off at
7. We
Kat's.
get Rose dropped off. We get to my house. And we go to my house.
So I guess they using all these unnecessary questions, just like they said, just to get them comfortable. You know what I'm saying? Until they start asking them tough questions.
The forest. We feed the girls. we put her clothes that she brought, the wet stuff, in the dryer because that's what she needed to do. We're gonna clothes dry. That's after we get back, actually. And then we go to dance.
Okay.
For the fireworks. Like he asked us to come by 8:30. For some reason I was trying to leave, but I was making a joke about it that we're gonna be late, like stuff like that, goofy crap. I drove to dance.
Okay. Which car were you guys in?
My dad's Subaru. It's a blue.
The one in the garage.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Then we get there, we stay for 45 to an hour. That's how I got the bottle rocket marks.
Show me those again.
That
Oh,
the sparks.
Sorry, you said
And I think
aluminum
this
or
was a
something?
wad or something that flew back.
shot back out of it.
Yeah, that one stuck in for a little bit. That's why it's so bad, but these are sparks.
Okay.
Those were at Dan's house you got those?
Yes.
At Dan's.
I didn't know the stick. You don't hold the stick. The stick flies with it.
Oh, sure.
I didn't know.
So you're over at
The
Dan.
man said he was holding a bottle rocket, and that's how his hand got messed up. Cause he held the stick and he didn't know the stick was supposed to fly off with the bottle rocket. Bro, it's taped to the stick. So how is it not gonna fly off with the stick? Oh, man, yeah, you looking real, yeah, man.
And so it's
Okay.
about 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah, get my hands a little bit. We find a firework that it spins and takes.
Anything you say can and will be used against you.
Off and it
They told him that
went
before he
straight
started
to the
talking.
bush. So we were like, no more of that. We're done.
To light the bush on fire.
No, thankfully it wasn't hot enough for that.
Good.
After that we cleaned. I gave him a bottle of wine as a thank you for letting us come. Thankfully I still have a couple bottles at home. While we're there, Dan had a few beers. His girlfriend was there, or fiance, or wife. I'm not sure the relationship, but she was there.
No name.
Never got her name. Just Dan's girlfriend. She's got purple hair. She's IT at MATC. The school's own IT.
Okay.
Anybody else there?
Just the two of us, and then the neighbors watched. One to our left and one across the street. One group. The one across the street had some cooler stuff than I've ever seen a person be able to own, firework-wise. But there we are, and then someone in the distance, kind of closer to our house, launched a mortar, artillery firework.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, okay, we have to go home for the dogs, so we went. And that was pushing 9:30, 9:45. We got home. We got into the couch fort. And put on Daybreak, was the apocalypse show. Daybreak. I put on that because we were trying to finish it.
On Netflix.
Yes. This is Kat and I still.
Yeah.
She was spending the night. The whole time, dogs are pushing me, nosing me, and everything. And so we kind of stop and stop watching, and she goes to bed. I'm trying to let the dogs out, or at least go back in a little bit. But the fireworks, they couldn't. And we get to bed upstairs in my room because she doesn't like the couch. And she had work in the morning.
Yeah.
And I'd say that's 10-ish, 10:30. And the whole time, the younger dog keeps jumping on us. So I leave Cat in the bed, and I go sit down in the couches and chairs down by the real dinner table.
Mm-hmm.
I go sit there and just hang out with the dog so Cat can get asleep.
Where we first started talking last night?
Yes.
Like the
main
kitchen,
room.
dining room, and the couches? Okay,
I
gotcha.
sit down there so Cat can get some sleep because I don't work tomorrow. She does.
Mm-hmm.
Then I put the ladder in front of those steps so the girls can't come up. They pee on the kitchen tiles, so I clean that and at least they went before bed, you know. It wasn't the worst thing. They're not gonna go outside.
Yeah.
Then I go to bed. Then it's Monday morning. Cat goes to work 7:50-ish, maybe earlier. Then I'm left to myself, so we put on New Girl on the couch for it on Monday morning.
Mm-hmm.
I go back and forth through some video games, and then back in video games. Back, and then
Those don't like to stand up very good.
yeah, I'm sorry, I'm trying to stretch a little bit while I'm sitting. Hurts. So New Girl, video games. This is Monday. We're getting later. I have a little bit to eat for lunch. Well, at the end of the day on Monday, I did go, for the afternoon, I did go to the farm to talk to Cress and Cat's mom. I told them what's happening with my health because I had the appointment at 2.
Did you go to the farm before or after the farm?
Because I told them what happened to me. And I told them the legs are probably going to be permanent and the headaches should be fixed after the hemorrhage is cleared a little bit. So, now that I'm there, I talked to their mom and Cress together. And I think Cat's mom is alright with me. I don't know, she wants me to move into the east side Cat's house.
Okay.
And start paying rent as an apartment because she doesn't like to live at home.
Does Cat live with their mom or?
Cat has an apartment.
Okay.
Somewhere.
Cat does?
Yeah, it's by Mifflin.
Okay.
The Party Avenue. It's by there.
Okay.
So I'm there talking to their mom and Cress. Then I go up to have, break down by their shed and they go swimming. Right by the swimming pool is the shed, so they wanted to watch me, break down and all that. So after I noticed they're just watching, I just walk over to them.
Describe the breakdown to me.
I actually cried. Started kicking grass, just doing the toddler tantrum shit. Then I hopped in the water with them.
Okay.
It was too late. I was in the water and I realized Cress didn't have a top. And that was uncomfortable. But I talked to them more, and that's when she brought up the housing situation, how she doesn't like how my parents are. I guess, I don't know, she doesn't know them that well, she never met them.
Okay. Chris was saying that?
And Kat's mom. Kat's mom is, speaks his her first thought right away.
Yeah.
So they're offering me to get a job, live with them, work for them while I'm working, and pay rent. And that's kind of their deal. I would have like a month free of rent, or a month or two maybe, if they're thinking. I could be able to borrow a car from Crest maybe if she's nice. Not using it, I'd be able to go to work.
Did she have a lot of cars or something? No, okay. Just an extra one probably.
She stays at the farm.
Okay.
So if she didn't need it, I could use it
Sure.
to go to a job, or at least interviews.
Yeah.
I was hoping for a job, near where I live so I could bike. That would keep me,
Yeah.
these going. I don't think they can get worse, but I could keep doing it,
Yeah.
Where are we?
Sunday. So you were swimming, a little breakdown. What were you having a breakdown about?
You ever have your legs down?
No, I haven't.
I don't even know if they're done getting like as bad as they can be yet. So
Yeah.
that's not fun.
And I think you were telling me last night it's a symptom of a concussion, right?
So
Is that right?
that's not it. It's a symptom of nerve damage from the hit to my spine. So
Okay.
it's permanent.
Okay. I understand that now better.
Yeah. So it's just legs. I think it's waist feeling is probably colostomy bag down the road and all of that. But here we are Sunday.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, we're sitting in the pool, we're hanging out. They're just talking to me. Sometimes they're being nice, sometimes they're like making the offer, like, hey, if you move in, you can pay rent. This is a good neighborhood. It's a cul-de-sac, there's parking. So, yeah, on the east side, just off of Milwaukee Street, that's Andrew. You take a left turn on the Andrew on Milwaukee.
Yep.
So that's it. So it's a good neighborhood, kind of like the one by my parents.
Mm-hmm.
If I lived there, I'd at least be on doing my own thing. And then they're like, well, appreciate you stopping by. So I head out and I go, that was Monday afternoon, I go to dinner at Kat's house on the east side.
Okay. What time do you think that was?
It had to be 7:30. I left the farm, which is Press's.
7:30 p.m.
Press's is the farm.
Okay.
So my cats. And then she's planning on feeding me. This is Monday, correct?
Yeah.
It's after the farm swim with Press. I think we just eat and cuddle a little bit.
Good.
When I go home, there's the girls, let them out and go to bed because I kind of had a day.
Yeah. What time do you think you left her place?
I'd
Kat's
say
place?
9.
You left about 9. Okay. She didn't come with you?
No, I was
Okay.
alone that night.
Okay.
I really want to drag her away. I think she stayed at her apartment, her house that night, not apartment.
Okay.
So there we are. Tuesday morning. It was just I can't remember Tuesday. believe, was something, or now wakes me up. I did the 6 again with the dogs and the food, but I got back in bed. I don't know if I passed out or zoned out a little bit, but Dan is worried about my mom on Tuesday, I think.
Did he call
I
or
said
text
no word. My mom, I don't know if he called or texted. I think he just contacted. That's what I can think of.
Reached out.
Yeah, he reached out. Then I'm like, oh, it's Tuesday morning. They should be here. A little worried. I think I called my mom that day.
Alright.
And then,
You talked to her?
no, she never picked up. It's always the voicemail and said voicemail. You know when you,
Yeah.
so it's off, out of range. I don't know the other factors that could give you that.
It's like a voicemail right away. It goes right to voicemail, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So whatever factors can give you that.
So I might have missed it. So from the time like they left, did you talk to them at all when they were
I got
up north? You got the one text
and I
that you mentioned
don't
earlier,
even like it.
right?
Yeah.
But that was it? Nothing else?
Yeah. So that's fishy to me, even the text, because I realized Memorial Day is when the White Lake Parade is.
Oh, sure.
There's no 4th of July. Maybe there's cheap drinks, but there's no parade at White Lake on the 4th. So, well, maybe there is now. I realize I've always gone on Memorial because that's the weekend I get time off from school and all of that. You don't get time off for the 4th.
So basically, from the time that they're gone at the cabin and you're home, you know, running around doing what you're doing, you just had one communication with mom.
Yeah, that's kind of how it be. I just assumed the amount of people, where they're at, and where they're all.
Well, I understand. I was making sure it wasn't
to
more than one.
her not contacting, but this is the only text.
Was there anything with Dad?
No, I don't even bother talking to him. He wouldn't use his phone while he's up there. He loves it.
Oh,
You know,
does he keep his phone on him when he's up there?
it's usually in the car.
Oh, okay.
And my brother and I just text all the time while we're up there. We even set up wire antennas sometimes to make better connection.
Sure.
So here we are. Where?
Tuesday. Called mom. Voicemail immediately.
Voicemail immediately Tuesday. Where?
Dan called, worried about mom not coming to work. He had already fed the dogs and that before Dan called him, or reached out to him.
He's trying to come up with a story. Like, fuck, okay, Tuesday. What I'm gonna say now?
So Tuesday. I'm doing this part. I got a coffee at a Quick Trip one day. Well, I think that could have been Tuesday morning.
This man say. This man just say, well, I got a coffee at a Quick Trip one day. That could have been Tuesday. What the
Quick Trip, I got a coffee. And I used my dad's number at a Quick Trip to give me the free one because it was the Cruise of Gold. I could have afforded it, but you know, there's a free one and it's Tuesday or it wasn't Monday. I could have gotten a $1 one, but it was full price, I believe, and I grabbed the coffee because it was a free one. He hasn't used it for weeks, so I grabbed that at a Quick Trip. I couldn't tell you which one. I was just driving at that point.
When you use it's a rewards card is what they call it, right?
Yeah.
You just enter his phone number or
Type
something.
You type it.
Okay.
But I got coffee.
The man killed the daddy and instantly started using his reward points. Shit crazy.
It had to be, I'm assuming, Tuesday. And I got a free one. Sweet. It was terrible.
Oh, it was?
I wanted to try Kroninger Gold.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad. Then we're at Tuesday. Cat's working. I'm gaming, job hunt. And then I started trying to get the glass. Because I've been a little lazy on the glass. I just kind of have chairs in front of it. I broom and, you know, a little sweeper holder, you know, you broom it into that dustpan. Yeah. Tossing the glass into recycling. I get most of it. There's a bunch in the cracks of the stone that I'm picking out by hand. I didn't injure myself from that, but just yeah. Just my blood was kind of on the floor, so I got the Swiffer I borrowed from Kat, from the foot. I borrowed a Swiffer to mop. I Swiffered the floor, like not the stone, but the floor. And then I got a little bit in the kitchen. And then everywhere kind of I walked, pretty much. The bathroom, the kitchen, and then I couldn't get the carpet, so I still stained that up, real crappy.
Where was their carpet at?
The stairs between basement and kitchen.
Carpet. Oh, that's right.
Carpet stairs. I tried. I can't get it out. I don't know how to do that, but then all the way up to the laundry room where I found my first aid kit. I just tried to stop all the bleeding, but it wouldn't stop. So.
And that blood was all coming from your left foot.
Yeah, left foot hole. Left foot hole.
Yo, what's up, bro?
I mean, are we talking massive amounts of blood, or are we talking, a little bit?
How's it going out there?
It started as drops until I got to the bathroom. And then I got back to go grab my sock and some of the paper towel. And then I see the glasses in there, so I grab a tweezers and I pull it out, and then it starts squirting out. And I got some on a little bit of the rock. It wasn't that bad of the rock, but I think the worst was that floor.
When Chandler was booked into the police department, his foot was photographed and looked at. The cut he had was less than an inch long, incredibly shallow. Chandler emphasized the size of the wound in order to explain away any blood that is found in the house, and further gain sympathy from the officers.
That, kind of like this lid puddles.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't good.
Were we talking the floor down in the basement?
Well, that one, and then I go upstairs.
Okay.
To the kitchen, and it's still going. I'm trying to get my foot in the sink just to slow it down and pinch it, maybe.
At least that weather warming up.
And then I waddle upstairs to the IFAC, or the first aid kit. And once I got it kind of bundled up, it stopped for what I know. Then I need to get some tape. We have a tape box in the basement. I go there and I opened it up again. And I bled a little bit more, but the basement was easy to clean. It's just cement. A little bit of water, and I ragged that up. But I grabbed the tape box and I wrapped it. After that's Tuesday.
Yep.
That's Tuesday. Wings. I go to Cats.
Oh, okay.
We had wings.
What time?
I've been doing the BS of first aid and all that. I go to Kat's house with her mom and her brother. That could have been 5 or 6. I can't give you the exact.
Did you guys pick up the wings and go there, or?
No, I drove to Kat's. Straight there.
What'd you drive?
The Subaru.
Right. Car of choice.
I just with the Volvo seat, I do it with my foot.
Okay. So we're talking about wings. Did you guys go pick up wings? Or?
Yeah, so we get there, and we're calling around to see what's up. James is getting home with Jimmy John's. And we're like, oh, don't eat all of it. He's like, oh, I'm hungry now. Do all that post-gym crap. So he grabs, eats half of his sandwich, and then we go at night, the two of us in my car, we go to Buffalo Wild Wings.
Do you remember which one?
I couldn't tell you.
Okay.
It had to be East, right? That's close to
Yeah.
First thing he thought of was Tuesday special, Buffalo Wild Wings. Okay, we went and got wings. Like, he dumb as hell. He just put himself in a deeper hole. Then they asked him, well, do you remember what Buffalo Wild Wings it was? Oh, I couldn't tell you. Come on now, you know what neighborhood Buffalo Wild Wings y'all go to. Now he can, oh, well, it was East, right? It had to be the closest one. Yeah, now you trying to think like, oh, shit, I can't make it seem like I don't know what Buffalo. You know, you fuck, man.
It's by a mall.
It's
by a mall. It is a mall. We go in, we get the wings, we go out. We go to Cats, we eat. We watch this movie, Pretty in Pink or something. It's about a girl that likes fashion and goes to Harvard. So,
is that on Netflix or just on TV?
they have like everything there. I didn't know.
Alright, so you eat the wings at Cats, watch Pretty in Pink.
Yeah, it was a mom's choice. But the four of us, yeah, we all ate.
Okay.
And then went upstairs, laid down in our bed for a few minutes.
Just letting the food settle, or
Yeah,
hanging out?
noticed she's kind of falling asleep. So I'm like, okay, I'm ready to get out of here. And I go home, get the girls all ready for bed, going outside, get them water.
What time do you think you made it home?
Say 9 at the latest. Two girls, water, not really food, they ate before, but water, and played, like, indoor playtime in the bathroom.
Sure.
So,
Did you guys go to, so you were home alone then?
I've been home alone this whole weekend, really, except when Cat comes.
Yeah,
So Cat didn't come that night. So now we're pushing Wednesday, aren't we?
We finishing up the interrogation with the dude.
What time do you think?
We finishing up the interrogation with the dude that supposedly had killed his parents because they wanted him to either be in school or get a job, and he killed them and cut them up and threw their body parts all over the city they stayed in.
You went to bed
Then he reported them missing.
at Tuesday night.
I was getting close when I got home, 10 at the latest. Kind of been tired lately.
Sure.
Then the morning on Sunday? Or no, wait, where are we? Wednesday. Wednesday, okay, so Wednesday. I try to go to the farm, and I keep spamming Cress. I kind of need someone to talk to because freaking out about my parents. Jane's calling me. I give her the address to go to the farm, or to the cabin. Jane Helgendorf. Never picked up from Cress, so I go home.
Did you drive over to the farm, or?
Yeah.
Because she wasn't answering her phone, right?
No, I got close, but then I realized I can't just show up. They'd shoot me. They don't know when I drive. Or what I look like with a hat on.
They got guns over there, or would they actually shoot you?
No, I'm just saying. Her dad lives there. He's 90. He got a buck when he was 95 or something. So I know if he didn't know who I was, he could have.
Yeah.
So he's old. But he can use a gun. That's why I wouldn't do that.
Yeah. So Cress's dad lives there too.
Yeah.
Whose place is it? Cress's farm or Dad's
It's
farm?
Dad's. He built it.
Oh, okay. And then
She lives there. She's managing the property because he's in a chair.
Yeah, he's old.
So then it's not really a farm. It's a
Farm man.
hobby farm.
Yeah, okay, I gotcha.
They
I haven't ever been there.
let wildflowers grow for the bees. That's pretty much it. And no berries, but it's then here we are. I turn around and then Jane calls. I get a picture of property at the cabin. And I see that. So I'm looking at the cabin. And then it doesn't look right. There's a birch tree in front. And I didn't like the look of it because that didn't just sit right with me a little bit. But it looked like tracks were pushed down into the grass a little bit. I don't know, in the picture. And Mike said there was like light tracks, like someone was there.
Where was the birch tree at?
It looked like it was in the middle of the drive. And sometimes we do that. We find a fallen log and we put it like a double door entrance.
Mm-hmm.
So you go in from the gate, you park, you move the next, and then you drive through.
Yeah, sure.
So that's like the only security we can get up there. So we have done that before. The grass is overgrown, but that's from the storm and the fallen trees.
Mm-hmm.
You can't mow there because of the flowers.
So with the birch tree, I mean, if you guys typically put stuff down like security, why did it look weird to you this time?
I've never seen that log. We have this log that's
One that you
close to the shed. It's, I would say, closer to petrified than rotten. It's hard, like really hard.
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of tree, but that's what my dad and I use when we go.
So you typically use the same tree, this one just seemed out of place too.
Yeah, that's not the tree we use.
Gotcha.
Where are we?
Wednesday morning, Jane sends you a picture of the cabin. You see the birch tree and look.
Alright, then I go to the police station because I ask her, when should I make a thing? Point or I'm sorry.
No worries, man. Wednesday morning, you said you went to the police department.
Yeah, to make talk to them about my parents. And then I met with 3 sheriffs that came.
3, you said?
3. There was a Seeley, he's bearded. The guy that drove me here, I'm not sure the name. And then Collins, she was also doing canvassing.
Mm-hmm.
So canvassing. So here we are, those 3. I get the questions answered. Then we go to my house. And then there's 3 more, the same 3 sheriffs.
So they talked to you at the police station or wherever you
Yeah, I get information and stuff.
and then they came to your house.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's probably about, then I came a couple hours later.
They were there questioning, you're now questioning.
Mm-hmm.
And then that night, what night are we on? Wednesday night. I go to Dane and Mary's
Wednesday night.
Wednesday night.
What time do you think?
They feed me. I had probably 7:30.
And you said you went to
Dane and Mary Sesto and Dan Something-ovich.
so Mary Sesto's house
Mary Sesto's house. It's on the same road
as
pretty
yours?
much. Yeah.
Okay.
It's just up the
Around
curves.
the corner. For dinner you went there?
Yeah. Well, they just fed me. They didn't eat.
Okay.
They just wanted to brainstorm.
Any good ideas come out of it?
No.
Okay. So you said you
We
went.
only could think of Dan, and Dan's been here.
Yeah. So you said you went to the police department to talk about your parents. What? Just tell me what exactly did they talk about your parents with the deputies about?
Oh, we're making a report. A report. That I thought I had to do that at a station.
Okay. And you were reporting. Like, what were you reporting exactly? I just want to write down and
Yeah.
have it on there.
They're missing this.
Okay. Let me see. Okay. Gotcha.
And
As far as you know, I mean, were you able to tell? We've gone into a lot of detail last night and tonight, right?
yeah.
Do you think that you gave them as much information as you've given me, or do you think that
You asked way more questions.
Yeah.
You even asked about my injuries,
Yeah.
the bleeding in the fireplace.
Yeah.
The sheriffs kind of gave what they need to make reports, and you just asked about like home life.
Everything, right? Okay.
So you got more in depth,
Yeah.
I think. Wednesday here we are, and throughout the weekend I've been calling.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. I'm just kind of looking at some things here. So we started Wednesday. Mom had work. You and your dad watched Wheel of Fortune. I'm just gonna kind of read stuff back through a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. And we kind of ended it last night because I've been talking to you since then, so I don't think there's much else that I need you to tell me from last night. So watching Wheel of Fortune, you're on the couch, table downstairs, couch with the back to the table downstairs, and tossing the ball around to the dog and broke the glass fireplace. Your foot gets hurt, that gets mad, right? Yeah. Mom left work in the morning, comes home later on. The dog was fine, not injured at all. Was it the dog or the ball that crashed into the glass?
Both. The ball bounced it, but the dog hit it at the shoulder.
Okay.
That's how it broke. The ball went down it.
Yeah,
You said the dog hit the glass with his shoulder. Like,
probably not. Okay. All right. Playing games, watching YouTube, job search. I'm just gonna, instead of reading out loud, just make sure I don't have any questions. You guys typically make your beds every day? Looked like they were made yesterday when I was there.
Yes.
Okay.
We usually use sheets every few days and beds.
You change the sheets every day?
Every few.
Yeah.
They get changed.
I was gonna say that's
In the
motivated.
bases. Or the dog hair, it's kind of hard to sleep.
Yeah, they probably do have some pretty long hair.
In the heat, they should. But
Yeah, no, that's fine. I get it. I got a dog. He sheds too, but you got two of them. All right. As far as the blood on your foot, how did you clean that up? So we were talking. You had blood on.
Swiffer wet jet.
Okay, Swiffer wet jet. And where did you get that from?
Cat let me borrow it.
Where's it at now?
I returned it.
The cat.
And I don't know where it's at now. He just brought it back. Gave it back with.
Did you use anything else?
Hydrogen peroxide for the tiles and the hard floors. just the big globs needed a little bit.
Hydrogen peroxide. Did that seem to help get rid of the blood?
Well, it hurt my foot and stuff, but it didn't really help.
Okay.
It kind of just made a mess.
And when you say only on tiles, I'm trying to remember your house.
I couldn't do carpet with it. It
Yeah.
would ruin the carpet, right?
It would, I think so. Tiles, are we talking kitchen? Because downstairs
Yeah.
is just like cement.
Well, when I had some blood on the basement, I used the peroxide.
Okay, basement floor and tiles in the kitchen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, peroxide. It wasn't as much. Like, there were, like, this size pools in the kitchen.
Okay.
I was pinching it pretty dang hard, but which was also cutting deeper because I had might still have another piece of glass.
Is that the biggest pool that you saw was something?
This was downstairs. This was kind of on the stone, close to the glass, and then there was one right at the base, kind of where the chairs I put. Like a good, like 2 or 3 inch diameter.
2 or 3 inch diameter. Okay.
More than that.
Did you do anything to? So I wrote down on Tuesday that you tried getting the glass cleaned up in the basement. Tossed it in the glass and recycling. Did you clean up at all when it actually happened?
No, my dad was furious.
So you
So he did stuff.
to clean it?
Yeah, I don't know what he did. But he sent me to my room upstairs and he did whatever he did, but it still was on the floor after he was done.
Okay. Did your dad get injured at all when the glass broke? Did he step on any
He sent me up, but I don't doubt it. When he gets mad, he's not thinking.
So we don't know if your dad got hurt.
No,
Okay.
no. But my best guess is that guy reached in the fireplace and cut off his arm or something. I don't know.
What's up?
Head pain? Do you guys have like Tylenol or something? I know you guys can't really offer anything like that.
Like a headache?
Yeah, you're getting the migraines from all of the hits and stuff.
Yeah, we can try and give you something.
So alright, so cleaning up the blood, we just got the Swiffer and the hydrogen peroxide.
Just kind of smeared it around. There's another paper towel. Yeah, just that.
Okay.
And then there's, I don't know.
Where did all those paper towels go? Just in the trash?
Yeah. Some everywhere in my car trash, in my trash.
They ended up in the car trash?
There's a bag in the car that I carry around. It's a car trash.
Oh,
It's
okay.
like a gallon bag.
Okay.
That's more portable than the garbage can. So, yeah, bloody rag after bloody rag, just trying to get it all out. And, I don't know, it was a lot. I didn't feel sick, so it couldn't have been that much, right?
Yeah, you didn't lose enough to pass out or anything. Is there any reason to believe mom or dad's blood would be somewhere in the house? Have they been injured at all that you're aware of?
Well, my dad scratches his psoriasis till he, like, gushes blood.
Okay. Gushing, describe gushing to me.
Enough to run down your leg, like cover your leg, I suppose, like, he has it on his knee. So when he does this, it just, like, drips down.
He's trying to basically say all the blood that's in the house came from his little cut on his foot. But they knowing that the blood came from his parents.
I asked him to stop, but he doesn't do it when he's stressed out.
Yeah.
He just kind of like, it's his tick.
Yeah, probably itches. Does he, Like, does it enough to get on the floor? Does it leave?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like how much? Like before we were talking the water bottle lid and the Yeti lid. Is there? I mean, like, are we talking puddles like that, or just ribbons, or?
It could be enough.
Okay.
But I'm thinking Yeti lid if he's there and I don't catch him soon enough.
Oh, jeez.
My mom's blood, just from her bloody noses she gets sometimes when she wakes up. That's why we've been doing the humidifier and dehumidifiers.
Yeah. Probably downstairs you get the.
We have to do multiple of them, but she can't be in the living room too long because that's a dehumidifier. And if she does, her nose it's bad. Not like a regular one. She gets it bad.
This man just full of shit, bro. It's sad, bro. It's crazy.
But she either goes to the kitchen to fix it, her vanity, or the bathroom.
When she has bloody noses, are we talking it's just spraying around? Is it just dripping?
Well, it's not squirting, but it's just dripping, and she doesn't notice it.
Okay.
She can't feel it anymore.
When asked if there is any reason for his parents' blood to be found around the house, Chandler says yes, and gives places where the blood would be found. These are likely the areas where he killed his parents, or places he remembers their blood being during the attacks. Chandler keeps emphasizing how much his mom would get terrible nosebleeds, and his dad's psoriasis would cause his leg to bleed, but the amount of blood that would be found would be insignificant. This is Chandler's way of explaining away evidence that is yet to be found by the police.
Is there any reason to believe that in either one of their vehicles there would be any of their blood?
Their vehicles?
Yeah. Or anybody's vehicle, let's say that.
Maybe car trash. Mom's car trash was definitely the past few days. My dad's car trash.
Why would they have blood in their car trashes?
Well, my mom does the bloody noses with the air conditioning, so
okay.
When we have air conditioning, my mom will have to use bring towels and stuff because in the hot days you can't have your windows open, you won't drive well.
No.
So air conditioning, my mom will have nosebleeds. My dad hasn't had them as much as she does, but he gets them.
Okay.
His are worse than my mom's.
Does he ever get them in the house then, or?
Mostly just with air conditioning, or
Okay.
sometimes with the dehumidifier.
Okay.
Me personally, just in air conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
I get them, but I'm not as bad as my parents. It's not bad.
Okay.
Yeah, he had to make sure you say it's not bad because the room that he in is probably air conditioning.
Alright. Yeah, I'm just thinking.
It's kind of absorbing.
I just want to make sure that I'm asking everything so I don't have to keep calling you and stuff.
You know my brother, is he okay?
Mitch?
Yeah, did he make it? I know, that's a long drive for
He hasn't
those
called.
two.
Yeah, he hasn't called me at all, so I don't know.
I don't think they've ever done a trip like that.
So 3 hours, 3.5 of it.
Mitch gave it out.
As far as up at the cabin, when do you think the last time you were up there?
Personally, last year, Memorial Day, I believe. If it wasn't the weekend before Memorial. I didn't make the parade. I never got to go last year.
When do you think the last time your mom or dad were at the cabin before?
My dad went when my brother was diagnosed with diabetes.
When was that?
The weekend before my concussion, so 1, 2, 3. Not including this week. 3, 4. Yeah, 4. 4 weeks.
You bring it up? Okay. But he wasn't born with diabetes.
No, this was, I think it's the kind you're born with.
June this year, 3-4 weeks ago.
Yeah. He went up, noticed our plumbing's gone to crap, and he bought a new set, something at a flea farm or a Home Depot, or it's like a 4-way converter type thing for the plumbing. Something
For the cabin.
Yeah, for the cabin.
It's for like a toilet or?
Yeah, we had a toilet up there actually now.
Nice. Not just an outhouse.
No, there is an outhouse.
Yeah, you want to ask for him?
I appreciate that. Cool. What did you say?
I got those, that work?
Yeah. I was like, I thought you said ad or one.
No, I don't
No,
know.
not that, just that, just over the counter stuff.
Yeah,
Thank you.
like 3 of them work?
Yeah. Appreciate it.
You better know what you want that one.
Thanks, Tim.
Just say apple on them, right? You put them on your mouth already? They're ready.
No, I just got
So the plumbing went to
true
crap.
serum.
No.
Is it
Just
like, was it a sink or a toilet, or what was it with the plumbing that went bad?
So when we have to pour water in every time we go up to start the pump.
Oh, okay.
So some reason by pouring water in, the water never rose in the toilet bowl apparently. So you couldn't flush it, the water didn't come to the toilet.
Mm-hmm.
So he needed a new thing to stop whatever the problem was. I think leaking. I don't know. I didn't hear everything from him.
Sure. How did you find out about that?
He?
Yeah. How did you know that there was a plumbing issue up there?
Well, he went up there just to go see the cabin.
Oh, so when you went up a couple weeks ago, he realized an issue. This time he wanted to fix it.
He fixed the major issue, so it won't be flooding the house.
Okay.
Or the cabin. Now, he wanted the pipe set to redo it.
Okay.
Because we need new pipes because they're lead. And I think we might be moving to plastic because there's no water heat. We can do plastic.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm trying to figure out what that part was. But that was when Mitch, diabetes, the number one.
Did Mitch go up there with him?
No, my mom and I were kind of with Mitch all that weekend doing stuff.
Dad just went alone.
Yep. And then later that week, I had my fall, and I just started getting my memory back.
Okay.
So,
Where did his mom been up there this year though?
Mom has not been up there this year. Maybe they were up there before. No, I think Dad did it all himself. Maybe. This is first.
And Mitch hasn't been to the cabin in a while, right?
Today?
Oh, well, today.
Yeah, I couldn't say he's been there. He didn't go last year.
Okay.
No.
Okay. Does he kind of do his own thing, or?
Mitch hasn't lived with us, or, he's got a family now, a dog, a girlfriend, no kids, but it's kind of, opposite side of time. You know how it is with brothers.
Yeah, okay.
He's flew the coop.
Got a few of them myself.
Yeah.
Alright.
I've started thinking about that myself, and my parents are trying to figure that out with me.
Mm-hmm.
We got all the background, I think, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So, I think it's time we start talking about what happened to your parents. Like the truthful version.
Okay.
At this moment, Chandler is immediately hit by what's commonly referred to as fight or flight. Throughout the interrogation, he has been leading the police, getting more and more confident as they seem to buy into his story, but now realizes that he is not getting out of the situation, and pay attention to what he says.
Okay. So we have like 20 pages of writing. We're gonna start with a clean white piece of paper for you to start telling the truth.
Okay. What?
Because listen to me. This is the only chance you're gonna have to tell us the truth. Okay.
What?
Listen. I can't tell you what we know, but we know you're not telling us the truth. We know your parents are no longer with us. Okay, and we know the reason why. Okay, you need to tell the truth.
There's.
Listen,
Listen, you need to tell the truth about what happened and just tell us why it happened. Okay? If something happened, if you were defending yourself, or if you just got fed up with stuff, you need to tell us the truth. Okay? This is your chance to tell us why. Okay? I'm not BSing you. Okay? So can we do that?
Okay.
Damn. We finna try to see if we can find that interrogation. See if we can find the rest of that. What did he say? He said the aftermath.
After he was interrogated, Chandler was booked into the Madison.
We're gonna see if we can get that interrogation, man. Cause now I definitely wanna hear. Let's see.
I need these gift cards to get rid of a
We're gonna see
computer.
if we can get that. Now they finna get into the meat of it. Yeah, it's getting real now. It's getting real for him now, boy. Yeah, it's getting real for him now.
I'm doing this, man. I go home.
Did you drive over to the farm, or?
Yeah. But you're fine. Sorry.
No, that's fine. I get it.
In the hot days, you can't have your windows open. You to redo it.
Okay.
Because we need new pipes because they're lead.
So can we do that?
Okay.
Lawyer.
I'm sorry. Shaving and trim. Lawyer.
Okay, so that was he asked for a lawyer. We're gonna watch the rest of that, the end of that. You know what I'm saying? When he said they're okay, we're gonna watch the rest of that. But he asked for a lawyer for sure.
And just tell us why it happened. Okay. I start with a clean white piece of paper for you to start telling the truth.
Okay.
Why? Because listen to me. This is the only chance you're gonna have to tell us the truth. Okay. What we listen. I can't tell you what we know, but we know you're not telling us the truth. We know your parents are no longer with us. Okay, and we know the reason why. Okay, you need to tell the truth. Listen. You need to tell the truth about what happened, and just tell us why it happened. Okay. If something happened, if you were defending yourself, or if you just got fed up with stuff, you need to tell us the truth. Okay. This is your chance to tell us why. Okay? I'm not BSing you. Okay? So can we do that?
Okay. Lawyer. I'm sorry. Shaving and trim. Lawyer.
Okay.
Because they're.
You want a lawyer?
Yeah. Okay.
That's right, it's on the time there. It's about 6:41.
You're under arrest. Okay?
What happened? Okay.
You know what happened. We're not going to tell you what happened. You know what happened. You were there when it happened. We're not BSing you, okay?
I wasn't there when it happened. Right.
We know more than you think we know.
I understand. Okay.
There's people that have told us things. We have evidence, we have proof that more has happened. Okay. So your parents never made it to the cabin, and I think you know that. Okay, so you're asking for an attorney, we're not gonna ask any more questions in this hand. Krista, you wanna stand up and just come over here for me? Get it in your pockets at all, wallet, just a wallet that you put in there. Oh. What's this right here? Okay. So they won't take the vape down in the jail. Okay. Where's your coin purse at? You just took it. Oh, that's a vape in the coin purse. No, it's in. Oh, in. I got you. So I'm just gonna make sure you don't have it. Okay.
Like going hands for a second. Yep. You just dump that on so they don't get tighter on you, right?
So the way this works from here, we'll get you downstairs, fill out some paperwork, we'll get you into an area, and then you can make phone calls from there, okay? Is there a way I can, where is, how do I make a lawyer call? Downstairs. So once we get you booked in, we'll get you the opportunity for that. Thanks a lot. Can you...
You better call on Tyrone. Boy, your ass ain't got no money for no lawyer. Fuck, you a bum. You want to sit around, play the game, watch YouTube all day. You know what I'm saying? So you killed the only thing that was going to help you out in any situation like this. So it's over with for you.
You want me to roll with you, Bill, or...
I'm good if you got a quote on there.
I'll gather your things.
I just don't know if you can hand me mine.
We can watch a little bit of his, what to say, the evidence against him. This is court date. Prosecution opening statement.
That the opening statements are not evidence. Attorney Brown.
Thank you. Could I have the screen turned on, Judge? On the left HDMI? While he's doing that, I'll promise you he'll give you a copy of that, by the way. You don't have to remember all of those instructions. My name is William Brown. I'm the Deputy District Attorney of Dane County. Yesterday you met Andrea Raymond. Together we're the prosecutors of the case. You heard a little bit about how the process worked in jury selection, and you probably thought you were being strung along the whole time, and in a bit you were. Everyone was trying to gauge your knowledge of the case, maybe any preconceived notions you had about the criminal justice system. Ms. Vera asked you a lot of questions about what you would think if she did nothing and sat there, and those were good questions. I'm going to do nothing in this case because it would be a very short trial if I did. You're going to hear from me and Ms. Raymond quite a bit. Our job in a case is to present evidence. That means to call witnesses. The judge talked about what evidence is. We think of evidence, sometimes we think of, especially in a murder case, you're in a murder case, you think of the gun. And you'll get that. There'll be a gun. You'll see that. But evidence is so much more. The first thing evidence is the first thing the judge mentioned. Evidence is first the sworn testimony of witnesses, both on direct and cross-examination. When people raise their right hand and they swear to tell the truth, that's evidence. Now, you as jurors can decide whether you believe it or not. Does this person have any bias or prejudice? Do they have anything to gain by what they're saying? Do they have anything to lose? All those things are up to you. But sworn testimony is evidence. Photographs are evidence, videos are evidence, statements made by people involved in the case, including Mr. Halderson, are evidence. Our job is to, over the course of the next couple of weeks, present evidence to show you the path of what we believe happened, which is that Chandler Halderson killed his parents, dismembered their bodies, and hid them around southern Wisconsin. I've been talking about Bart and Krista Halderson. You've heard their names mentioned numerous times by the judges here. That's Bart and Krista Halderson. I'm going to try to use some photos as I talk to maybe guide us along. Some people are more visual learners, some aren't. That's Bart and Krista Halderson. Couple in their early 50s, living in Windsor, Wisconsin. On a quiet street, in a quiet house, kind of in a quiet town. If you don't know Windsor, think just south of DeForest. Or maybe if you're heading up toward the Dells, when you see the Fleet Farm on your left, if you looked right, that's Windsor. That's the Halderson home. At this point, perhaps it would be best if I told you a little bit about the Halderson family. Bart, the father, Krista, the mother. They have 2 sons, Chandler, the defendant, and his older brother, Mitchell. Chandler and Mitchell are close in age, but Mitchell's a little bit older. The time this all happened, living in the Halderson home, was Bart Halderson, Krista Halderson, and Chandler. Mitchell had moved out. Mitchell had a job working as an IT person for a local corporation, doing pretty well in life. He's engaged, doing pretty well in life. Buying a house, adult things, growing up. But in July of 2021, it's Bart and Krista living in that house, and their adult 23-year-old son, Chandler Halderson, living in his room. Now, all of the events I'm going to describe, for the most part, take place during the first week of July, from the 1st to about the 8th. So I put up a calendar. This is not evidence in the case, I suppose. It might be. Maybe I'll mark it as an exhibit. But it's to provide some reference, and I put the little flag on there, because if you remember this year, the 4th of July was on a Sunday. Everyone celebrated, of course, all weekend. A lot of places celebrated on Saturday, but the 4th of July was on a Sunday. Now I'm giving my opening statement. The judge told you opening statements aren't evidence. And in fact, that's the reason you don't have notebooks. I'd like to think so you have to pay attention to me, but that's not true. It's because nothing I say is evidence. So as I say things up here, what I'm saying is what I expect to prove in the next couple of weeks. But what I expect to prove beyond any reasonable doubt is that on July 1st, 2021, somewhere between 3 p.m. and 5 p.m., Chandler Halderson murdered his parents. It's an important date, and it's an important time to remember. July 1st, between 3 and 5. But the story doesn't start there. And this trial wouldn't be 3 to 4 weeks if the trial ended there. The story starts a week later, on July 7th, 2021, nearly a week after killing his parents, but no one in the world knowing. Chandler Halderson walks into the Northeast Precinct of the Dane County Sheriff's Office and says, "I'd like to file a missing persons report." He sits down with sheriff's deputies, and you'll meet them today, and he gives a long story. My parents, they just haven't come back from the cabin. They were there this weekend. We have a cabin up north. It's in White Lake, up in Langlade County. It's pretty far up north, a couple of hours. They just haven't come back yet. They were going to come back Monday or Tuesday, and I don't know where they are. Who were they with? The deputies ask. I don't know. I helped them pack Thursday night. They must have left Friday early before I woke up at 6. Who'd they go with? I don't know. Where are their cars? Well, they're still at the house. What'd you help them pack? Bottles of liquor, lots of money, tools, silver bars. Why were they going up there? Some people they were fixing a window. Some people there was a plumbing issue, storm damage. The story varied. Sometimes they took just money. Sometimes they took just liquor. But over that day and the next, talking to numerous sheriff's deputies, detectives, including those detectives, he gives this bizarre story of his parents leaving in an unknown car, going to a cabin with an unknown couple, with an unknown amount of money, for really an unknown reason. So sheriff's deputies do what cops do, which is they ask him, have you heard from him? And he says, yeah. I got a text from my mom. And he did. He showed him his phone. Made it safely. This is from Krista Halderson to Chaz. That's what his family calls him. Not Chandler, they call him Chaz. Made it safely. Can't get anything through, though. Yes, it's packed. Going to White Lake today for the parade. We'll be home Monday night, Tuesday early. I love you lots. So at this point, the sheriff's deputies don't know what they're dealing with. These folks get up there and decide, now we're gonna go to the casino for a few days. We're gonna play hooky. Didn't make a lot of sense. They started talking to coworkers and realized these people had never no call, no show, missed work, which they both did on Friday. Did they crash their car? Did this other couple kidnap them? Where the hell are they? But what good police do, and what they did in this case, is they start looking into the people who saw them last, who were with them last, who reported them missing. And in this case, all three of those things, the person who purportedly saw them last, was with them last, and reported them missing were the same person. It was Chandler Halderson. So what the police did was started to look into Chandler Halderson. This is all occurring in the same 24-hour, 48-hour period. And what they learned about him isn't suspicious at all. He's a Madison College student, MATC, they go by Madison College now, if you didn't get the email. Madison College student, he's about to graduate. He's studying renewable resource engineering, kind of a hybrid IT degree with solar panels, things of that sort. He's about to get a certificate. But things had looked bright for him. He'd recently been working at American Family Insurance. He's working from home like most of us the last couple of years. But he's working a good job at American Family Insurance. And not only was he working a good job, Chandler had just gotten a better job. He got hired at SpaceX. He was about to embark on a career that people in the IT field could only dream of. He's planning to move to Titusville, Florida. That's where SpaceX operation is, down in Florida, with his girlfriend. They'd rented an apartment. They'd bought a car. And not only was this not someone who was antisocial, he was pro-social. He was working with the Madison Police and the Department of Natural Resources on their rescue diving team. He was a scuba diver, working with the police. The only thing that was a bit odd is he'd recently suffered a head injury. Fallen down the stairs, had terrible concussion, was unable to move for the most part, had to wear a neck brace. He was permanently, perhaps, injured. All of those things threw police off from thinking it was Chandler. He had anything to do with this. At that point, for all they knew, as sad as it is, Bart and Krista and an unknown couple were crashed into a ditch somewhere between here and White Lake, Wisconsin, dead from a car crash. So they started looking. Deputies are sent up north. The Langley County Sheriff's Department is searching a cabin. No one had ever been there. It didn't look like anyone had been there at all in years. It was run down. The grass hadn't been mowed. There was no food in the refrigerator. No one had been there. So the police expand their search, and they start talking to not only just Chandler, people about Chandler. They start talking to people who were with Chandler that weekend. Specifically, they talked to his girlfriend, a young girl named Catherine. She goes by Cat. And Kat says, I was with him like all weekend. We had a normal 4th of July weekend. We went out to my family's farm. We got a farm. There was a pool. We ate dinner. Chandler was having the concussion issue and he couldn't really move his legs. And so he asked to use their pool the next day because he thought that was good therapy. So the police, what do they do next? They go talk to the person who owns the farm. And they say, was Chandler out here? And she goes, yeah, he was out here on the 4th of July. But you know what? He showed up the next day by himself. He showed up the next day by himself. I told him he could come back anytime, as we just say to people, not expecting they're going to roll into your house the next day. She says he was acting bizarre. Said that he had a doctor's appointment and they'd given him some bad news that he was going to lose his job at SpaceX because he couldn't travel. He couldn't attend orientation to start. And she goes, he asked to use the pool. And of course I said yes. This woman will testify, and she'll tell you that she sat in her house for a while, perhaps a bit weirded out that someone had just shown up at her rural farm. But she let him have his space. But about an hour later, she goes down to the pool to check on him. He's not there. No one had opened the pool. No one had been in the pool. But she sees his car. And it's parked out in the field, away from the pool, backed in toward where that grass is a bit longer, and had its hatch up. She thought, boy, that was strange. But she thought maybe he's just on a walk. So she goes in the pool. She said, I'm just going to go in the pool. If you remember that weekend, it's extraordinarily hot. She starts swimming. She says, then I see Chandler. He's walking out of the woods in that area. Now, at this point in the investigation, the police are out there with this woman. They're out on the farm. And she says he walked out over there. And you'll hear from the detective, Detective Brett Baverstock, who was out there. And he'll tell you that his eyes kind of shifted up and he saw vultures. And I promise the photos are only going to go this far for right now. But the police walked about 20 yards into the woods, and in that pile of debris, under dozens of sticks, bushes, and dirt, they found Bart Halderson. Now, when I say they found Bart Halderson, I need to explain that. They found a human torso. Someone had crudely chopped off the head, the arms, and sawed off the legs in the middle of the thigh, leaving the underwear on and the beginnings of the pants. They removed the sticks and brush over a course of a few hours. They brought out doctors from the medical examiner's office to make sure everything was done appropriately. They rolled the torso over. There were gunshots in the back. This man had been shot in the back and chopped up. At this point, the farm, beautiful farm, cultivated for years with wildflowers, kind of an Eden of sorts, was turned into a crime scene. Police swarmed the place. Drones were in the air, cadavers, dogs were on the ground. Everyone's looking through absolutely everything they could, but it's a farm. There's a million places things could be. But one detective said, look at that, in the woods. Is that a garbage can full of a tarp? It was. And I'll tell you, that tarp was taken to the Wisconsin State Crime Lab eventually. Bart Halderson, Krista Halderson, their blood is all over it. Another detective said, that spot where Chandler was walking out of the woods, there's an oil barrel there, like an old fuel tank with a hole in it. That's right where the car was parked. So she peeks her head in.
Bro, this shit wild as hell, bro. Bro. How you go to school and you finna work with SpaceX, but you capable of this type of activity?
And that's what she sees. Broken saw blades, hand saws, scissors, tree loppers, all of them tested by the state crime lab, all of them covered in human flesh and blood of Bart and Krista Halderson. The farm was searched extensively, and I'll tell you that some months later, things were even continuing to be found. Up to this fall, in October, the homeowner, the person who owns the farm, was tearing apart a barn trying to clean it. And there in a barn about 100 yards from where Bart Halderson was found, the murder weapon, behind a bunch of boards on the side of the barn. At this point in the investigation, the police knew they needed to start talking to Chandler. He's seen coming out of the location where his dad's body was, just brutally chopped apart. The tools, the cutting instruments are found there. So they do what police do. They bring him downtown. But they ask him, and he's at the house, and they ask him and his girlfriend to come downtown with them. And they do. And that girlfriend, Kat, is in one room, and Chandler is in another. Chandler, and you'll see this, we'll play it, for over an hour meets with police, and again regurgitates this odd story of his parents with this missing couple in a random car, going places that no one really knew. Where Kat, in the other room, she's vomiting information to the police. Literally vomiting at times, but also vomiting information in terms of she has her phone out. She's giving them pictures. She's providing every single detail she can because she'll tell you when she testifies. She's one of these people that watches these crime shows. And she knows when someone's missing, you got to exclude the people closest to him first. And she thought, that's what we got to do. Chandler didn't have anything to do with this. I didn't have anything to do with this. We got to get to the people who did. And the first step is we got to exclude us. She didn't for a second think that Mr. Halderson had done anything wrong. She thought she was with him most of the weekend. And I'll tell you right now, Kat did nothing wrong. Kat was an unknowing, unwilling accomplice to some of this, but she did absolutely nothing wrong. And she'll tell you, she liked Mr. and Mrs. Halderson. There were the normal disputes you'd have with your boyfriend or girlfriend's parents. Maybe you want to go out a lot and they don't let you. Maybe you want to hang out more than they don't want to. But she liked him. Her phone is full of messages between her and Mrs. Halderson. Friendly in all respects. Kat meets with police not just once, but multiple times. And in one of these meetings, she says, you know what was weird? Is this weekend, when I was with Chandler, while his parents were at the cabin, I left the house early one day, on Saturday, in fact, Saturday, July 3rd. And she says, he told me he was going to do chores that morning around the house. But when I looked at my Snapchat, I saw his location was in a weird spot. If you don't know, on Snapchat, you can set it up so that other people can see exactly where you are. A GPS tracker on you at all times, if you will. Chandler had that set up with his girlfriend. And she goes, it was so weird where he was. I took a screenshot of it on my phone. And that's what it showed. Chandler has saved his hubby in her phone. That's perhaps a term of endearment between two folks dating in their 20s. But she said, at 8:58 in the morning, when he was supposed to be doing chores on Saturday, July 3rd, I thought it was strange that he was in what appears to be a forest on the banks of the Wisconsin River near Prairie du Sac. The police took that. They identified immediately where that location was, just based on looking at it. That's a bridge. Couldn't be hard. Out they go. The drones go up, the dogs go out, the search team starts searching. Very quickly, and I promise this is as far as the photos will go, they find the remains of Krista Halderson. Now, when I say Krista Halderson, I have to qualify that as well. We found her legs. One complete leg, then somewhat farther away in another bush, a foot, a thigh, but the same pattern. Crudely cut apart, what appears to be hand saws, axes, things of that sort. No more of Krista Halderson that's identifiable to her will ever be found. She's just those two legs. At this point, the police thought, this is just a strange location. Why would Chandler be out there? He'd been out there before. And they started talking to people, including girlfriends of his in the past, friends of his. And they say, yeah, Chandler really liked this location out on the Wisconsin River. He'd go there all the time. It's where he'd go swimming. When his friends came into town, that was the secret swimming spot. And one friend even said, you know what? Last year he sent me a picture while he was out there. Kind of shirtless, hanging from a tree with a machete. I don't know. Didn't have a lot of significance at the time when the police saw it, but eventually someone realized The tree looks unique. Interesting V pattern right there. The hollowness of the tree as it goes down. The way in which 5 of those branches branch off. And eventually one of the detectives realizes why. Something clicked. It was the exact location he ditched his mother's remains. That's about 100 feet away. So obviously, it shouldn't come to anyone's surprise, at some point Chandler was arrested. In fact, he was arrested on July 8th, 2021. When you're arrested for a lot of crimes, you go to jail, you get booked in, and not much more happens investigation-wise after that. They have what they need. But of course, that's not the case in a murder investigation, especially something like this. So Chandler's taken to jail, and the police start searching. When I say searching, you're going to hear about searches of the house, searches of this farm, searches of this property. You're going to hear about searches of landfills and ponds and ditches all across Dane County. But one of the things they started searching was, what was this guy doing on his phone that weekend? And oddly enough, most of what they found was nothing. Either Chandler hadn't Googled anything all weekend, except for the 8th, or he had deleted his search history. You'll never know. But remember, he was arrested on July 8th, taken to the police station, and that's where they told him, hey man, we know what's going on. So meaning, while he was still on his phone on July 8th, he was still telling everyone his parents were missing. Not just the police. This kid was standing in his front lawn giving media interviews to all the local media outlets about the cabin and the unknown couple and the unknown car. He was going door to door in his neighborhood. My parents are missing. Can you help me out? Do you have any security cameras, by the way? And you'll hear from these neighbors. Some of them were so weirded out by what was going on that they secretly recorded those conversations. One of them, you'll hear, was a man who'd only been retired as a detective with the City of Madison Police for about a month. He recorded his conversation with Mr. Halderson. But while he's doing this that morning, what's he Googling? This is what he's Googling. Body found, Wisconsin. Woman's body found, Wisconsin. Wisconsin dismembered body found. We'll come back to the next two. Dead body found in Wisconsin. Body found in Milwaukee River. He's searching for whether they found his parents. And you'll hear in this case, he's starting to search because he's starting to get worried, because the amount of police in his neighborhood has been ramping up and up and up, because unbeknownst to him, they're finding his parents' remains. And you'll hear that while this is going on, while he's Googling these things, he's frantically calling police officers. Hey, why are there more cops in my neighborhood? Calls this guy, Brian Shunk. He records him. What's going on? There's more cops. Did something happen? Did you find something? The middle ones, State versus Peter Kaputsa. Probably means nothing to everyone. It meant nothing to me when I first saw it. The name rung a bell, and I wondered why. Not only does it show he Googled State versus Peter Kaputsa, it showed that he clicked on a link on the Wisconsin court's website and read something. What he read was a legal case, much like this one is the State versus Chandler Halderson. The State versus Peter Kaputsa, though, was a case that made it to the Court of Appeals based on some legal technicalities about a man who dismembered part of his family members and threw their bodies in the river. So at the same time, Chandler Halderson is going door to door in his neighborhood, crying about his parents being missing, talking to the local news, telling sheriff's deputies, signing documents saying they're missing. He's conducting legal research to get himself out of today, so that today never happens. Now, when I started with that calendar a while ago, and I said the police were initially thrown off because of one thing, and that was this text message from Krista. And it's real. I'll tell you, that text message is in all the search warrant returns from US Cellular. It's on the phone that we were able to search. We're not able to search every phone, but some of them are. Made it safely. Can't get anything through though. Yes, it's packed. Going to White Lake today for the parade. Be home Monday night, Tuesday. Love you lots. Sent on the 4th of July. So the police started looking into that. And the first thing they found was White Lake. The parade was on July 3rd. Remember, the 4th of July this year was on a Sunday. So everyone celebrated on Saturday. So they started thinking, well, how the hell did this message get sent? So they searched the Halderson home, where Chandler was. And in the garage, under a shelf, in a shoe, wrapped in aluminum foil, was his mother's phone, along with her driver's license. Police would later subpoena the records from U.S. Cellular, the cell phone carrier that covers Chandler and the family. And they would look into what cell towers were being used when that message was sent. If you didn't know, all of you probably have cell phones. At any time, your phone is pinging off of different cell towers. It's not always the same. As you sit here, half of you might be using one tower and half of you might be using another. It's based on the workload of those towers. You'll hear about that. But it's generally an approximate area of where you are. That message on July 4th, Krista there's in pink, Chandler's in green. The message was sent from the Halderson home on July 4th. Chandler sent it to himself. So at this point, the investigators began to wonder, and perhaps you're beginning to wonder how the evidence will come out. How does this happen? How does this kid, with everything in the world going for him, promising new jobs, school, a girlfriend.
Madison College student about to graduate, studying renewable resource engineering, working at American Family Insurance, recently got hired on at SpaceX, planning a move to Titusville, Florida with his girlfriend, worked with Madison Police and DNR on rescue diving teams. Recently suffered a major head injury in a fall. I guess that's what made him, like, I guess that injury just made him just like, well, that don't make sense though. Like,
that loves it, willing to move across the country for him.
It makes sense. Why would he kill his parents?
Kid who just suffered this major concussion, was unable to use his legs for the most part. How does this happen? And what you'll learn, it happens because none of these things are true. He wasn't going to Madison College. He wasn't studying renewable resource engineering.
What?
The people at American Family Insurance, they'd never even heard of him. There's no indication he'd ever even applied for a job, much less had any job at SpaceX. The apartment he told his girlfriend he'd rented and the car he'd bought, none of that was real. The Madison police, they don't even have a scuba diving team. Neither does the DNR. And this concussion he apparently suffered, he did go to the hospital. And you'll hear from the doctor who was there. He said, yeah, he came in, he reported that he hit his head, falling down the stairs. I diagnosed him with a mild concussion. Gave him a neck brace on the way out, told him he could use it if he needed it.
See, I be forgetting. I be forgetting my first videos. I remember them saying that he was lying about all that shit. So why they might make it seem like that shit was real though? Like, they just played on my top.
But none of the things that Chandler reported to other people, the leg weakness, his inability to move, drive, travel, none of that was real. And given what you're going to find out in this case, you may conclude at the end of it, he never suffered any fall at all. What you may conclude is that it was all made up. Now, police started looking into all of these lies. Because how does a person who looks so promising, was able to convince so many people of his success, How are you able to keep this up? How are you able to catfish your family, your girlfriend, your brother, your friends? And they started to find things around the Halderson home in the email accounts of Bart and Krista Halderson, and the email accounts of Chandler Halderson. When they talk about American Family Insurance, the first big lie Chandler was making up, again, the people at American Family Insurance, you'll hear them testify, they're directors of human resources. He never worked there, never worked for any of their affiliates, never worked for any of the companies that are associated with them. Chandler had been claiming to work there for a year, but he never had any money. And his father was an accountant, so his father would ask him questions pretty much daily. Why don't you have any money? Why haven't you paid any rent? And Chandler spun an amazing web of lies. First it was, well, I'm a salary guy, but they were accidentally paying me hourly, so they just held my paychecks until they fixed it. Then it was, well, I gave them the wrong direct deposit info. And then it kind of shifted eventually, and he said, well, they were going to pay me, but now the amount is so much, they got to pay me so much money that when they deposited in the bank, they thought it was fake.
Right.
And police started to find emails.
All that was in my first video. I kind of forgot all that, so I got to start just streaming all at one time so I can stay on track. You know what I'm saying? So these streams might get a little longer. They might start being like 2, 3, 4-hour streams type, you know?
Like this. This from Tom Selznick, a guy at American Family Insurance in the Northeast, remote human resources guy. Describing this. You're registered as salary, but you're making hourly. And these emails would go back and forth with Chandler and the HR person, and eventually he'd forward them to his father. But in the way a parent looks at their child as maybe telling the truth is not the way that you as jurors have to look at this. You, like the police, maybe have to take a more critical look at emails like this. And for one, notice, why is the guy who works at Human Resources at American Family Insurance using a Proton Mail generic email address? Why is the guy who's the Human Resources manager spelling the word resources wrong, saying he's the Human Recourses manager? It's comically fake. He emailed himself back and forth, trying to explain why he didn't have any money, and he forwards it to his dad. Now here's where the story gets maybe a little more complex. Having a fake job solves a lot of riddles in your life. No one's hassling you to get a new job. No one's hassling you to do chores all day. The problem is, if your dad works from home, if he was an accountant, for instance, which he was, and which he did, you actually have to wake up early every day and go to work. So there he was. Messages between Bart and Chandler. Hey, are you up for your meetings? Yeah. Over and over again. So Chandler woke up. But he had nothing to do all day because his job was pretend. And so he sat on his computer playing video games. And I'm not against people playing video games. I'm a guy myself. People play video games. But video games, if you don't know, some of you are of an age where you do, and some of you are at an age where you don't, are a much more social thing than they used to be. When you play video games, you don't just sit on Nintendo 64 and play Mario by yourself. You're playing role-player games with people from around the world. And who's up early in the morning when Mr. Halderson had to wake up to attend his fake work meetings? People in the military who are stationed overseas. They speak English, they're American, but they're on a different time schedule. They're on his time schedule. Most people here probably play video games at night during weekdays. But every day, Mr. Halderson was able to wake up and find a group of friends to play video games with online, one of which was stationed in Germany. This friend was a guy named Andrew Smith. Now, Mr. Smith, Mr. Halderson became kind of best friends. They would talk all the time. They communicated in this video game all the time. And Mr. Smith, he'll testify, he's coming up here, lives down south, he's back in the US. He'll tell you that Chandler really liked an SKS rifle when they play some of these shooting games. It's just something he liked. Not a big deal, there's nothing wrong with that. But this past summer, about a month before the murders of Bart and Krista Halderson, this online friend, Andrew Smith, comes to visit Mr. Halderson and stays at the home with Bart and Krista. This is a picture of Mr. Smith in that perhaps crudely designed yellow shirt. That's Mr. Halderson. It's the only photo we have of them on that visit. You'll learn that Mr. Smith had gotten out of the military. He was done with it. But you'll also learn that he really likes guns. Like, he really likes guns. And he knew his friend liked SKS rifles. So when he visited him this year in June, he brought with him a gift. The SKS rifle that was found about 100 yards from Bart Halderson's body. Now, you'll meet Mr. Smith, and you'll probably concur with me after meeting him. He's not really probably a paperwork kind of guy. And so when he gave the gun to Mr. Halderson, he wanted to document that he transferred the gun. But he wasn't going to fill out any paperwork. So he just took the serial number of the gun, he put Mr. Halderson's driver's license next to it, and snapped a picture on his phone. There's a clear picture of that. But that serial number matches the gun found in the barn 100 yards from Bart Halderson's body. And before Mr. Smith left, he decided he would gift his friend something else, which was about 400 rounds of high-powered ammunition. Now, you'll hear from Mr. Smith. Despite maybe his bizarre actions and maybe his bizarre statements he may make, he's not a suspect. Police proved he was in Texas at the time all of this happened. Another unknowing accomplice to Mr. Halderson's crimes. So at this point, Mr. Halderson's working a pretend job at American Family Insurance. He's not getting paid. His father, who's an accountant, is kind of on his case about it. And he's got to figure out something else. And the best way out of your pretend job is an even more pretend job. So around May going into June of this past year, American Family wasn't going well. So Mr. Halderson decided to get a new job. He's going to be an astronaut. I work at SpaceX. This is messages to his girlfriend. I have a good feeling about SpaceX. I have a follow-up interview for Florida tomorrow. Shoot, sorry, I got the job. I have training next week over the computer and leave June 11th and start June 14th. He didn't give himself a lot of time, but what he gave himself was an escape hatch. He could move. Could end the lies that he had going on in his life about being a rescue scuba diver and working for American Family Insurance by simply moving to Florida. That presented with it one major problem, which was that job, which was also make-believe, would pay absolutely no better than the last job that was make-believe. So in late June, as he's supposed to start the job at SpaceX in Florida for Elon Musk, something happens in the Halderson family, something real. There's a change. Remember when I started off and I said there were two sons? His older brother gets hospitalized. That's real. It happened. Got diagnosed with diabetes and was having some complications. He's doing great now. Mr. Halderson uses that as an excuse to delay starting at SpaceX. It was a stroke of good luck for him, a stroke of bad luck, of course, for the family, but a stroke of good luck for him. But that only gave him a couple of weeks. So his brother, who's doing really well in life, engaged, house, real job, making a lot of money, suddenly he's in the hospital, being doted over by his family, by his mother. People care about him. So roughly a week later, when Chandler Halderson needs to think of a new lie to get out of the SpaceX lie, guess who ends up in the hospital? Being doted over by his mother and his family with a supposed neck injury. This is Father's Day of this year, in late June. That's Bart Halderson in the middle, Mitchell on the right. Of course, Chandler wearing a neck brace that no one told him he had to wear on the left. Now, around this time, Chandler started telling people an extraordinarily bizarre set of claims. That he had a brain bleed, a hematoma, that he had spinal damage, that he needed his head drilled open, that he had inability to use his legs at all, Couldn't drive. People had to do that for him. That he had nerve damage. That he needed to get a colostomy bag. But most importantly, he couldn't go to Florida. The doctors had told him he couldn't fly. Of course, that's not true. You'll see his medical records and you'll see his doctor testify. So suddenly this man, who was, for all intents and purposes, disabled, was being doted over by his family. People were making him meals. You'll see notes his mom was leaving for him. Call this neighbor if you need anything. She'll help you out. Couldn't drive, couldn't work, couldn't do chores. Now, a bit of a preview and a fast forward. This guy who was wearing a neck brace nearly every day in late June 2021 would have no problem just days later carrying large bags of ice out of gas stations to chill his father's cut-up body in a freezer. And you'll note, no neck brace. And in fact, you'll note in this case, Chandler Halderson is never seen in that neck brace again after July 1st, 2021, when he kills his parents. So the job lies are over for Chandler in his life. American Family Insurance, don't worry about that because he got this new job at SpaceX. In SpaceX, I can't go because I'm hurt. It was a perfect scenario. But there was one last lie that Chandler had to get out of. And that is he had told everyone he was going to MATC for college and that he was about to graduate. And you'll hear there's a hint of truth to that he was going there at one point. In fact, there's a hint of truth to all of these lies. He did go to MATC for like a semester. He failed out. But he wasn't going there anymore. And the parents were starting to grow suspicious. And we knew this because when we searched the house, we started to find notes on Bart Halderson's desk. Bart Halderson was one of these guys who prints his emails. I don't know if any of you print your emails, but some people, they get an email and they print it out. That was Bart. Let me find one. It's an email between Bart and Krista, detailing a conversation that he had had with Chandler's advisors at MATC. We're supposed to meet with someone else, so we met with this guy, Daniel Spieth. Chandler's going to get a solar certificate. He wasn't. He's registered for fall classes. He wasn't. He's in the IT program. He wasn't. All of these things, line by line, none of them true. But Bart Halderson talked to this person. So police honed in on something. That line. When I talked to the advisor, he sounds just like Chaz on the phone. And he gives this number. That is, of course, because Bart Halderson, when he talked to Chandler's college advisor, was just talking to Chandler, who had bought a burner phone, cheap phone from like Walgreens that you can buy with no service carrier. And police know that because they searched Chandler's bedroom, and in his desk drawer, they found that phone. Now this kept going. The lie about going to MATC or Madison College was the most extensive. There were emails, dozens, if not hundreds of emails going back and forth between supposed advisors at MATC and Chandler, and then he'd forward them to his dad from people like someone named Alyssa Brandt, 64. Sometimes Chandler would spell Brandt, B-R-A-N-D-T, sometimes just with a T and no D, depended on the day. But they all had the @Gmail address, not at madisoncollege.edu. And you'll hear from the people at Madison College, their people have real emails. They don't use Gmail. But it was over and over again. Alyssa Brandt was one of them. You heard about Daniel Spieth, also at Gmail. There's someone named Aaron Hoover, also at Gmail. In this one, Chandler's getting upset. I have to have a call with whomever's in charge within the next 30 minutes. I have been a student for over 3 years, and I will be treated fairly. Of course, he's yelling at himself. All of these were fake. Back and forth to himself, and eventually to his dad. The Halderson parents had to have been growing extraordinarily frustrated. The kid wasn't getting paid. He was injured suddenly. His college transcripts aren't coming through, so he can't get a job. So police looked at that original note again. They saw something interesting, which is in this sea of fake people Daniel Spieth, Aaron Hoover, Tom Selznick, Alyssa Brandt. There was one name that stood out, Omar Jobe. And that name didn't stand out because it was fake. It stood out to the police because it was real. That is the only real person on any of these emails. And what we've discovered in this investigation is in just the day and a half prior to being murdered, Bart Halderson, Chandler's dad, called MATC and pretended to be Chandler to try to finally get some information on what's going on. Just as any of you could call any doctor and pretend to be your kid, you know their name, their social security number, their birthday, you can get through. You can get through those minor security things. Bart called MATC, said, I'm Chandler, and I want some answers. And for 17 minutes, Bart Halderson, just before his murder, talked to a man named Omar Jobe. Omar Jobe is a entry-level customer service guy at MATC. He's got no skin in the game, doesn't even really remember the call, but it was recorded for customer service purposes. And Bart Halderson questions Omar, and he's very mean at first, because in his mind, he'd been getting screwed around for a year on where his son's transcripts were and what degree program he was in and why he hasn't graduated yet. But toward the end of the call, Bart asked Omar Jobe, hey, do any of these people work there? Alyssa Brandt, Daniel Spieth, Aaron Hoover. And he's told no, they've never worked there. And in fact, they haven't. And he says, that'll be it then. That'll be it then are the last recorded words of Bart Halderson alive. Bart Halderson, shortly after that, sends a text message. A text message that ultimately sealed his fate, which was a text to his own son. And it says, I spoke with Omar Jobe. Now, what happens over the next 24 or so hours is a bit unknown. Homicide investigations are a lot of unknowns because the two people who are the victims, who maybe know the most about what happened, are of course dead. But there's not much verifiable information that happens over the next 24 hours. It's also unknown if Chandler even knew who Omar Jobe was. Of course, he wasn't going to MATC, so why would he know who some lowly entry-level customer service guy was? He wouldn't. But Bart Halderson did. And when you look at Bart Halderson's work calendar, that he maintains at his accounting firm, you see something quite interesting. Remember at the beginning, I said I wanted you to remember a date, a time, which was that the Haldersons were killed between 3 and 5 p.m. on July 1st, 2021. Guess what was on Bart's calendar at that exact time? He was supposed to have a meeting with the people at MATC with his son. So he's supposed to go to MATC and have this meeting at 3 o'clock on July 1st, 2021. Of course, that meeting couldn't happen because he wasn't going there, and none of the people were real, but Bart Halderson knew that. Bart Halderson knew that. And so Chandler had obviously figured that out at this point. There's no way out of this one. You can't get out of this lie. And so the next day, Chandler Halderson wakes up on July 1st and starts messaging his girlfriend. 7:26, I hardly slept. 7:27, stuff hasn't been going well for me lately. Just trying to plan for the next thing to fuck me over. 7:51, I had a great future planned. It's falling apart. 1:04, just 2 hours prior to the murders. I overheard they might go to the cabin with their friends, but I don't know. So somewhat of a full circle at this point, that's the moment Chandler Halderson decides to kill his parents and engage in this bizarre story of them missing at a cabin with an unknown couple in an unknown car at 1:04, July 1st. Now, shortly after this message, just about an hour and 10 minutes, Bart Halderson's getting ready to go to MATC for this meeting. Perhaps to confront Chandler. Perhaps Chandler's going to confront him.
Man. All his lies was coming out to the. All his lies was coming out the closet, and he just decided to just say, you know what? I can't get exposed for my bullshit, so I'm just gonna kill y'all. That shit wild, man.
Bart texts Chandler, "I'm ready whenever you are." That's about 50 minutes prior to when he was killed.
Damn, so his daddy texted him, I'm ready whenever you is. Come on, let's time to go to the school and see what's going on.
Those are the last words ever recorded of Bart Halderson. His phone is never used, really. Again, he dies at some point. He never goes back to work. No one ever sees him. The neighborhood he lives in, riddled with security cameras, never see him again. I'm ready whenever you are. What the evidence will show in this case is that sometime after the "I'm ready whenever you are" message, and probably just around 3 o'clock, when he was supposed to go to this meeting with MATC, Bart Halderson was shot in the back multiple times with a high-powered rifle. And after shooting his dad, Chandler texts his mom, "Dad's phone died. Text her, call me. And get soda on your way home. I have an extra hour of work." You know he didn't have an extra hour of work, but he was delaying her getting there because the evidence will show he needed to move things around, prepare for what he was about to do when she showed up. She responds, "K, I can," smiley face. Those are the last words of Krista Halderson alive. Shortly thereafter, around just after 5, neighborhood security cameras, the Haldersons didn't have one, but the neighborhood, a lot of people did, show Krista pulling in, getting out of the car, walking in. She's never seen again until her legs are found out by the Wisconsin River. But just after killing his mom and his dad, the evidence in this case will show that Chandler went on his phone. If you go on your phone, I don't know if any of you have ever taken a note. You can take notes on your phone. iPhone has an app called Notes. We got some raw data, and I'll put it up here in a second. I won't put the raw data because it's a bit challenging to see. But Chandler creates a note about 5:11 that day on July 1st, probably minutes after killing his parents. And the note reads, "Weekend chores, H2O2 lemon." H2O2 is the chemical name for hydrogen peroxide. You'll hear from people in this case, it's essentially a household cleaner to clean up blood. Lemon, it deodorizes things. Mixed together, it's a pretty cheap cleaning product you can have at home. So Chandler writes a note after murdering his parents, "H2O2 lemon. Door handles. Move your shit upstairs. Get a job. And clean the floor." He then does just that. Spends the afternoon cleaning the house, eventually jumps in the shower. We know he's in the shower because his girlfriend and him FaceTime when they're in the shower. No judgment, but that's what happened, and the girlfriend took a screenshot. We know he's in the shower. They say they're good nights, and Chandler says, "I'm going to bed." But he doesn't. He goes to gas stations. He's carrying out large bags of ice. Because what Chandler had done that night is what you all probably suspect by now. He had dismembered his parents, or at least started the process, and had to fit them inside of freezers that were in the Halderson home. And you'll see some of these freezers, they're cleaned, but there's still some evidence around. That night, I'm not going to show many photographs for a little bit, just because I think you deserve to kind of be eased into some of the things you're going to see. That night, what appears to have happened, what the evidence will show, is Mr. Halderson took items from around the house and began cutting apart his parents. The saw blades covered in Bart and Krista's blood. An axe, Bart and Krista's blood. Hand saws, things of that sort, covered in Bart and Krista's blood. He cleaned the house as best he could, and you'll hear about that. But still, blood spatter found of Bart and Krista's blood around the house. And he had a plan. It wasn't a well-thought-out plan, but he had one. And that was he was going to burn the remains in the family fireplace there in the house. So it's July 1st, and if any of you remember, 4th of July weekend's pretty hot this year. People in the neighborhood thought it was a little bit weird that someone's fireplace was going on. They smelled stuff. One person, this neighborhood's full of retired cops, but one retired cop said, I smelled like a barbecue, smelled like a pig roast. And he said that just not knowing what it was at the time, talking to the police. And that night, a neighbor who had a security camera behind the Halderson.
This man was burning his parents' body in their fireplace, and the neighbors can smell it.
Home, way far away, was able to catch something. Because it was pitch black at night, it was able to catch just a little glimpse of all the windows in the Halderson house. We have an expert that's going to come in who works with video and light analysis. And he's going to tell you, he was able to figure out which window that was. And the window it was that he was looking at in that camera footage that kind of just piqued his attention was the window by the fireplace. And for many hours over the course of that night, the light flickered, came on, died down, on, down. But in the early morning hours the next day, he'd been up all night doing this. Because you'll learn, you really can't burn human remains. Your home fireplace is not going to get hot enough to do that. It takes an extraordinary amount of heat. If you go to like a crematorium, you're inducing it with oxygen, chemicals, not a residential fireplace. But eventually, in the middle of the night, the fire started going well. It appeared that air was being pumped into it, and you'll see when they searched the Halderson home, there was in fact a fan found right next to the fireplace, next to a tape measure, trying to make sure the remains were the right size as they went into the fireplace. But that light at one point grew and grew and grew, and it got very bright in one room. And then all of a sudden the kitchen light came on, and then all the lights went out. I don't know if anyone's ever taken a hot Pyrex pan out of the stove and put water in it, or dumped hot water on your windshield on your car in the winter, but it explodes the glass. The evidence in this case will show that what happened was the fire had gotten out of control, burning these human remains. Human fat was rendering out. It was igniting. So Chandler threw water on it. But when you throw water on your residential fireplace, you break the glass. And that's exactly what happened. Just above that broken glass panel, which is clearly shattered, you see the paint kind of bubbled off from the heat. This is in the search of the home some week later. The fireplace is clearly used. The police noticed something interesting about this photograph, which is, despite being clearly used, the logs are rebuilt. Someone had cleaned out all the ashes and rebuilt it.
Man, this man's a sick, twisted, sinister motherfucker, man. Do that to his parents? That shit crazy.
Clean logs, newspaper, one burnt piece in the middle. But what stuck out to police right away was that little rock right there. They thought, what is that? You'll hear from the people who collected this evidence. You'll hear from an arson specialist from the Department of Justice, a guy named Bill Boswell, who'll come in. You'll hear from a forensic anthropologist, a doctor named Cristina Figueroa Soto, who will tell you, we were all interested in what that was because it was out of place. So they pulled it off and they put it on one of these fancy police deals. And the forensic anthropologist took one look at it. And she said, oh, this is a human skull. He had burned his parents' heads in that fireplace. Later, the police would go through the ash trap of that fireplace, and they would find human remains, facial bones, the knee bones, which, because we found Krista's legs, by deduction, had to be Bart, all in the ash trap of that fireplace. They were all cataloged. Now, burnt remains can't be tested for DNA. There's no biological material left, but they're able to tell it's human based on the structure of the bone. And you'll hear from the anthropologist who will talk about that. So that's what happened on July 1st. Now you're going to hear about all of those days in between Bart and Krista dying at 3 o'clock on the 1st, all the way through the police report. But to summarize, Chandler stayed up all night that night of the 1st. Obviously, things weren't going well burning his parents' remains, so the next day, perhaps not having slept, he walked into Fleet Farm at 7:21 a.m. to buy a tarp. He's on video. He knew his girlfriend was spending the night that night, so he spent the whole day cleaning, but he's sending her text messages, which you will see throughout the day, asking her to bring him hydrogen peroxide and a mop, because he still needed to clean up. The next day, Saturday, July 3rd, 2021, his girlfriend leaves early in the morning. That's the day she snaps that picture of him out by the Wisconsin River dumping off his mom's remains. He spends the rest of the day hanging out. But when he goes home and says he's going to bed that night, this young man who supposedly couldn't drive or carry heavy objects, his phone records show that he's up near the Wisconsin River in Portage. As if you're driving the interstate up to the Dells, right when you cross the Wisconsin River, off in the state land there to the right. For about an hour, in the middle of the night, the police tried to search that area. It was impossible with the currents. Whatever remains were thrown in there are lost forever. July 4th, 2021, this is the day he texts himself. Spends the day with his girlfriend's family, goes to their farm to use the pool. That's the day he says, hey, can I come back tomorrow? Goes to some fireworks. He's living a normal life. No mention of his parents. The next day, takes out the garbage in the morning. Who knows what was in that garbage can? We've thoroughly searched the landfills, but it's impossible to find anything. But he took out the garbage. He goes out to the farm to supposedly use the pool where he's seen walking out of the woods. Cell phone tower records prove that he was out there on the farm. Remember I told you he told that person that he was having trouble at work and school and having a bad doctor's appointment. He never went to any doctor's appointment that day. Phone records show he never talked to any doctor. It was all a ruse to be able to go out in the woods and hide his father's body. The next day, not much happens because Chandler was up all night. Again, that light analysis shows all night, the garage light on and off. The garage, of course, being where we found some of these tools, the axe covered in blood. He's cleaning up. At 4:30 in the morning, for no apparent reason, he drives around the city of Madison. There's no idea what he did there. But he's not doing much. But people begin questioning him about his parents. He just says they're late. The person most worried, perhaps, is his girlfriend. She thought that was unlike them. The next day, he drives back to the farm, throws a bag of bloody rags into their garbage can that's out by the street. And 11:22, he texts his girlfriend that he's finally going to the police. We know that bag of rags came from his house because they were in the Target bag his girlfriend picked up from Target. And she did the curbside pickup. So her name was printed on the outside. It was when she brought him hydrogen peroxide. He filled the bag with bloody rags and left it at the house. The next day, he starts Googling body found, Wisconsin, dismembered body found. He's walking door to door asking about security cameras in his neighborhood. And at 4 p.m., they take him downtown and they arrest him at 6:41.
Man, this shit is wild, man. This shit wild, man. What that man did to his parents, man. That shit fucked up, man. That man killed his daddy and his mama, chopped their heads off, put them in the fireplace, and burnt their heads, and then cut their arms and legs off and just tried to get rid of them like they was just nothing, bro. That shit just wild, bro. It's a fucked up world, man. Man, like, subscribe, do all that YouTube shit, man.